I wanted to like self-develop in my own way instead of listening to someone
Exactly.
else and how they did it.
Exactly.
But I got the tools from that whole phase on how to do it myself, really.
Welcome to the Functional Code, your go-to source for decoding optimal health. Join Dr. Addy and Dr. Jace as they break down the science behind pain, performance, longevity, and more, making complex concepts easy for you to understand and apply in your life. Your journey to a healthier you begins with understanding the Functional Code.
Welcome back to the Functional Code. We have a special guest here today, Ryan Sheely. This guy, I tell you what, man, he's got way more shit going on than I do, but co-creator of the Breakfast Ball and the Double Bogey Show, co-host of the YouBetcha Radio, known as Ryan the T-shirt guy under YouTube. He also started his own Uview Apparel. He also worked with PRX Performance, which is the famous fitness company. I'm sure you've seen them. They're all over YouTube and TikTok. I am Dr. Addy.
And I'm Dr. Jace. We were very looking forward to this podcast. So when we had opportunity to chat with Ryan, for him and I, we used to be roommates. We still kept in contact. He's an awesome friend, an awesome guy as well. So we want to bring as much knowledge and experience on personal growth, on values, and how you can build yourself up with the challenges that you have to go through in order to be really good at what you do. And what Dr. Addy said with Ryan's resume, not going to be too hard on that one. So strap in. Ryan, thank you so much for making time.
Yes, thank you.
For sure, pal.
Ryan, so guide us through these opportunities from the Breakfast Ball, the Double Bogey Show. How does that journey look like for you? And then also, why golf instead of, because I know you played college baseball too.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I again appreciate you guys having me on today too. I turned 31 last week, and to like hear the resume outside of when you graduate college, you're getting things prepped. I worked landscaping here for a summer and did this, and like all of those things led up to now what the resume is today, and some cool opportunities as well. Obviously, I never saw things going this direction. However, that's just how life panned out, and you just got to go with the flow. But yeah, it's interesting. If you want me to, I can bring you through the whole process of how I got to here today and what brought me into golf, because it is a situation of everything really does happen for a reason. And based off of what I'll tell you next, is I'm a huge and true believer in everything does quite literally happen for a reason. Now, you mentioned the PRX Performance. It was my first job out of college, and they were a Shark Tank company. And with that being said, it's weird because I can remember back in our college house, Jace, we were watching an episode of Shark Tank, and I saw them come on the TV. I'm like, hey, this company's from Fargo. I'm graduating in 2 months. I got to figure out what I'm going to do. I was and still am really into the fitness side of things and staying healthy. Yeah, just kind of a cool opportunity. So let's just shoot my shot. I luckily knew somebody that worked at the company. At that point, I want to say they only had 3 or 4 employees. And it's like, all right, I have a marketing degree. Are they even going to be hiring for that? It doesn't even matter. Let's just shoot the shot anyway. So I sent an email to the guy that I knew that worked at PRX, and I didn't hear back for, I don't know, a few weeks. And I'm like, okay, we did what we could. Hey, we took a chance. We sent the email, and that's the best we can do from here on out. I ended up getting an email, and this was probably like a month or 2 later.
Yeah, I remember this. You came up from the basement and you're like, dude, guess what? And then you're like, I got the position. Yeah, sorry. But I turned out in my room.
Yeah.
And you have that look. I'm like, oh, bye. What's going on?
Yeah. He was like, hey, why don't you come in for an interview? After I graduated, I went to Washington for a couple months to play baseball, try and live out the dream, hey, let's maybe see if we can make a contract somewhere. It did work out, but in that whole time I was in contact with PRX, is also in contact with another company. And luckily I had 2 interviews coming back from Washington, fully graduated, had my degree, couldn't make the pro baseball life. It's like, all right, well, now I got to start working. The cool thing was I had options, right? So all I needed was a foot in the door. I had the interview with this other company. I actually ended up getting a job offer on the spot. And later that week I had the PRX interview. So I said, sorry, but I'll have to take a couple of days to think about this. I had the PRX interview, and then they also offered me a warehouse position for $12 an hour to start immediately. I'm like, hey, I need the money immediately. I've taken this 2-month hiatus after graduation. And it was an interesting decision because luckily at that point, I feel like with just how social media has grown and expanded especially into the young mind, it's like when you get out of college, the 6 figures is the big thing. Like I gotta be making 6 figures right away. I gotta make sure, like that's the thing. It's I gotta make as much money out of college as I can. And there's less and less people that are willing to get their foot in on the ground floor and like actually show what their work ethic is so that they can continually build themselves up in a company. It's going to take them years on time. So just talking it through with my parents and my wife, I said, I have to take the chance. It's $12 an hour. I'll hopefully be able to pay my credit card, my student loans, and my truck payment. And then maybe a little bit of plasma money on top of that for entertainment. Move on. So $70 a week goes a long ways when you're really scraping for cash. So in my head, that was just the right decision to make. Decision A with the other company would have been the safe one, and decision B with PRX would have been the gamble. And I'm always I guess you could say I'm a gamble man. I do like to gamble.
Yeah.
I guess in life too. I ended up taking the PRX job, and the way things just had grown with that position in the warehouse for a year, and then I went into social media position, which is exactly what I wanted to be doing. So that worked out exactly how I thought working out. And again, it probably made $13 an hour at this point, but it didn't matter because I was having fun. And I didn't at that point, I didn't care about how much money I was making. And hey, I'm doing something really cool and I can enjoy going into work every day.
Yeah.
Now we can fast forward about 2 years. I'm the social media guy at PRX and I didn't have a videographer. I was just like shooting my own videos, editing them, and they were really bad. So, hey, I need someone talking to my boss. I'm like, hey, I need somebody to shoot my videos so I can just be more engaged with what I'm doing instead of worrying about what direction the camera's facing. So my now boss at YouBetcha, Miles the YouBetcha guy, he was running a freelance videography company at this time. And I had known of him from high school. And so I reached out to him. I had seen some of his work. I really liked it. And in the end, I ended up hiring him as a freelance videographer. Like just weird to look back on. He was filming me before he was the one being filmed in his current position now. And, obviously we just got started talking. He told me about this idea he had in YouBetcha because we both were just on the same social media wavelength at that time. So I ended up I ended up starting to print t-shirts for him a couple months after YouBetcha was launched. And I think that was November of 2018.
Where does Uview Apparel fit into that? Because I know you guys got a big t-shirt machine and you guys were starting that. And then there was a transition and I'm rocking it.
Yep.
Probably one of the only ones.
You got the shirt on. Yeah.
Win the day, baby.
Yep. Yeah. In the middle of all this, while I was like at PRX and while I was working with Miles, we had me and my other college roommate, Jace's other college roommate, Jade. We had started our own t-shirt brand. That was the thing to do. Hey, you want to make a little money on the side and start our own apparel brand. And it was a cool concept. Like everything is inverse on a shirt. So when you look in the mirror, only you're the one who can read it, right? So that's what we named it, Uview Apparel. And I got deep into the t-shirt game. I knew how to print shirts. And then November of 2018, Miles was like, hey, I need to drop some merch for YouBetcha. And I need someone to print my t-shirts for me. Okay, I know how to print t-shirts. And you need to print your shirt. And we are on the same wavelength with where this thing is headed. So I started printing t-shirts for him. I was working at PRX, and then I was after hours from 5 to 11, 5 to midnight, I was printing t-shirts for him. And it got to a point in, February of 2020, where he's, hey, you either need to come on full time or I need to hire somebody else to bring on where they're here from 8, 9 a.m. until the end of the day. Yeah. And again, it was the gamble. It's like the same thing with the decision of going to PRX was the same thing that went into the decision of going to YouBetcha. It's, I have to see this thing out and I have to know where this is going and to be a part of it at the same time. So PRX at that time was my dream job, which I don't feel like a lot of people can say coming out of college. It's the classic, like, I'm going to get a 9 to 5, I'm going to make some money, I'm going to go out on the weekend, and I'm going to be happy in life. Well, I don't necessarily think a lot of people are happy because settle for a paycheck. It goes back to, I need to make as much money as I can. Well, you just need to enjoy what you do, and the money's going to come later. The money to me doesn't mean anything, because if I can come into work and I get into work and in the snap of a finger at the end of the day and the time went by that quick, I know I'm doing something I love. I made the decision to leave my dream job at PRX, and it was awesome to work there. My bosses were phenomenal people, the two guys that were on Shark Tank. And I went full time with YouBetcha. I guess you could say the rest is history. I'm still here 4.5 years later. I still handle a lot of the merchandising and all that kind of stuff. I more so work on special projects. But looking back on it, okay, had I not made the decision to go to PRX, had I started working at this other company, I would be where I am today. So PRX led into the social media position, which led into needed to hire a videographer, which led into me meeting Miles, which led into, in between that time, starting my own apparel brand, learning how to print t-shirt. And then that led into him needing someone to print his merchandise, which led into the full-time position at YouBetcha, which leads me where I am today. So
Yeah.
breaking down all those steps and seeing the whole journey as to how I got where I am right now is, I do really enjoy looking back on it and saying, hey, the gambles you took and the decisions you made, whether they seemed right at the time or not, it was exactly what you were meant to be doing.
Man, that's so cool. So is there lessons that you learned, like when you were at PRX, from who was one of the sharks? Tom O'Leary
Kevin O'Leary.
or Kevin O'Leary? Sorry.
Yep. So Kevin O'Leary, yeah, they got a deal on Shark Tank. He was their investor. I think he bought in for 80,000 for 20%. So for him to buy into that company then, and then to see, like, during COVID, the home gym industry, it went bananas because gyms were closed down. People had to start working out at home. So I want to say during COVID, they did $50 million in sales from an $800,000 valuation when
Unreal.
bought in. It's also cool to see, hey, I knew that the product they offered, it was worth people having. And it took a few years after I left for the consumers to realize that. But had I still been there, it would have been really cool to go through that huge influx of growth and expansion, and going from, I was employee number 6 with PRX, going from 6 employees when I started to like close to 100 during the middle of COVID.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, and then you hop back into YouBetcha, another small startup, but obviously
Yeah.
the success, man. So how was that discussion, especially with your wife and also family, of course, to go from a company that you start building up, you're seeing the success, but then
Right.
know that there's another opportunity, risk versus reward. And I know obviously the friendship, that was probably also another thing. Come
Yeah.
to work, enjoy life. Happiness obviously is the biggest thing in success. I know you brought that,
Yeah.
Gary Vee
Yep.
brings that up. So how was that conversation from going from one startup and then almost going straight to another? And is there something that you almost perceived more upside for that? Or I guess what was going through your mind during that time frame?
Yeah. Miles offered me a paycheck, which would cover my expenses and some entertainment outside. That helped initially. But like, hey, you come work for me for free for the next year, and I promise I'll pay you after that. He did offer me a paycheck right off the bat, but at the same time, still was a gamble. It was just him and I at that time. Will it go for another 10, 20 years? Because I'm not in it for the short term. Some of these small businesses, yes, they only been in business. PRX at that time was 4 years. And then YouBetcha like really just became a business. I wasn't in it for the next couple of years. I'm always in it for the long term. And that's how I make my decisions. Hey, can I see myself doing this for the next 20 years? And Miles he has this type of this way of thinking where it's like he just brings this sense of trust to himself. And I felt that at the beginning. I'm like, this guy, he knows what he's doing, and I can trust that he is also not in it for the short term. Therefore, I'm not in it for the short term. So let's see what we can do with you at the forefront. And it got to a point where, hey, you just tell me what to do. I'll do it, because that's how much trust I had and still have in it. But the conversations, it wasn't, they're actually pretty easy, to be honest. I have a very supportive mom, dad, wife, brother. So they can hear, it's easy to hear excitement in somebody's voice when they're talking about something, and they can just tell I was excited about it right away. So between that and I was getting a paycheck, that helped a lot too. They made the decision pretty easy.
That's crazy cool. Like, I know we talked on an episode, got a couple of times back on some of the struggles that we've come across and how we've gone through those. And I know for myself and also Docs, it was a lot of the transition of moves from different places, different
Sure.
locations, from going from college to the real world. And with that comes growth and opportunity. And obviously, same thing with you. It's just making that jump. And imagine if like he wasn't feeling confident, or that's obviously not who Miles is. And obviously you betcha is a whole beast in
Yeah.
itself on that. But why a small business instead of large? And then where's, I guess, certain aspects you like about small businesses?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've only worked for post college. I've only really worked for two companies, both of them having less than 10 employees, less than 8 employees when I first started. And I don't know what it is that intrigues me about small business. I do really, so I went through this huge self development phase after college. And I don't really know why or how I got into it. I think it's just how I'm wired, and my personality is always striving for more and more in myself and my family, my friends, all that kind of stuff. So I went through probably a phase that a lot of low to mid 20-year-olds go through. And that I was watching every single Gary Vee video
Oh
that
yeah,
was out
maybe.
there. And I don't consume a whole lot of that content anymore because, like, to me, I'm now starting to structure my own logical thinking in the way that I would approach this situation. But at that time, I didn't know anything. I was just fresh. I was a kid fresh out of college. So I needed like that hardcore, like in your face guidance to figure shit out myself.
Yeah.
Every single day, I shit you not, I probably watched like 15 to 20 Gary Vee vlogs
Dude, we all
or
did. It was
daily
great.
V's or
Oh,
yeah, and it
deep in
was
the depths of
phenomenal.
Gary Vee, man.
For sure, yeah. I was going back to Daily V episode 1 all the way to 100 or what. But I think, and it's interesting because Gary Vee, he runs this huge like corporation, I guess you could call it.
Sure.
But he's like preaches small businesses and hey, you got time to do stuff. You're only 20-some years old, like just go and do it. And that to me at that time was like really motivating to be like, all right, small business thing is really cool because I can see this and help this thing grow as fast and as big as possible. And once I got taste of that, once we did start growing at PRX, I was like, all right, this is what gets me fired up to come in because we're playing against the big players and we're the small guys. And I love being the underdog because it's almost you can believe yourself. It's like a fuck you to the big guys.
Yeah.
And I like that. That's the type of stuff that motivates me. I'm like, I'm a small business guy and I just happen to land in another small business. And had I not landed there, I'd still be at PRX today. So there's an intriguing factor of okay, how fast, how big can we grow this thing? And that's why you enjoy, especially with my personality, that's why I enjoy coming to work every day. Whereas if I was just sitting at a desk job, I had 5 tasks to do every day. And then the rest of the day, by that time, it's 11 a.m. Or what am I going to do till 5? I'm going to take an hour lunch. I'm going to take a shit for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't do whatever. That doesn't get me fired up. I definitely landed in a place where I belong and grateful for the decisions along the way that got me.
So Ryan, other than Gary Vee, did you have any other inspirations, people, or even just businesses that you follow, or even like social media accounts over the years that you've just been watching, or you like what they do, or just anything like that?
Yeah, it's went in waves a little bit. I'm like a big phase guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if you guys can relate or not, but I get in these, like I was in a Gary Vee phase and I haven't watched a single video in probably like
I'm the
4
same way.
years.
I'm the
Yeah.
same way.
So when I get into a phase, I go like 100% in on it. And I can attribute that to my dad. He's the same exact way. So during the PRX phase as a fitness guy, like that was the world I was living in. Accounts like Christian Guzman and Max Tuning and these guys that were running Alpha League, these fitness brands, these like lifestyle brands, these gyms. That was super intriguing to watch their content and just see like how far they've come. And I don't know what kind of phase I'm in right now is like the biggest question for me. There were other companies that I was like pulling from at that point a few years ago. But I think as I've gotten a little bit older, I have more so started to just think for myself and not rely on other people to get me fired up during the day.
Right.
I think what gets me like what phase I'm in right now is I'm in fatherhood. So there's not a whole lot of time or like mental capacity outside of that. But to me, that's okay. I'm like, right now, I'm like all in on being a dad, and I will be till, the end of my life.
Yeah.
Being in that phase is super cool because that's also like a self-development phase. It's not like you're not just going on YouTube and watching a video. You're like going home to a 2-year-old and like wondering and trying to figure out how to approach, him throwing a tantrum or him not wanting to eat his
Right.
food, or like I'm learning as much now about being a dad by just being a dad and not consuming all the outside noise. I'm learning just as much now as I was back when I was watching his other guys.
That's awesome. And you have just a 1-year or a 2-year-old, correct?
2-year-old. Yep. I got one. Yep.
Just
Yep.
one boy. Yeah, that's
Yep.
awesome, man. And you could watch any video or read any book, but no one is going to know more about that kid than you, obviously, and your wife. And that's the tough part.
For
is
sure.
You can't just go and watch something and expect it to translate, because every kid is different, man. And it's just
Big time.
totally different.
Yeah. They all develop differently. Yep.
I'm curious, or what are some of the bigger lessons that you've learned from fatherhood and just parenting? Because I think in this transition, there's a lot of people in our age range that are searching for answers, that want to know more. And for you going through that, obviously for us, we don't have kids yet, but something that we inspire to eventually. But
sure.
how is balancing work? And also, like I said, how is some of the lessons from fatherhood?
Yeah, it's right away. It was a challenge, obviously, but you still got to put food on the table. It's okay when you drop your kid off at daycare and you come to work, like you come to work, and that's what I tell even some of my coworkers. And hey, don't get me wrong, there are days where I am really fucking lazy, and as long as I get my work done, I may not do anything outside of that. Which luckily they're few and far between, but they do happen. But if I'm coming to work and I can worry about my kid all I want, as long as he's in good care at daycare, it's, hey, I trust this lady. I don't really forget about him, but you just have to like, okay, you go from being a dad in the morning to then you got to be like a factor employee from the morning till early evening. So I feel like I've done as good of a job as I can in the transition from being the dad in the morning to coming into work and like being that solid employee. An employee that my bosses don't have to worry about ever. Don't have to pull in for a conversation saying, hey, well, maybe we could step it up a little bit or do this or do that. I don't want to have that conversation ever. But in turn, like pulling inspiration on like being a dad and all that, it's like you're never going to get like the best information you're going to get about being a dad is looking back at your childhood and either wanting to replicate what your dad did for you, which is exactly what I'm trying to do, or flip the narrative. There's some people out there who've had troubled childhoods or had broken homes. And fortunately, I was not one of those kids. I had very supportive parents. And it to me, it would be yes, I had a very supportive childhood. I didn't grow up, we didn't grow up poor. Like my parents didn't have a ton of money, but they also made sure that we had everything that we needed.
Right.
And so it would be a disservice to them for me to just coast along and hand everything to my kid that he wants. But also, I don't want him to grow up in a broken home. I want him to have the things that he needs, and then I want him to have a couple things that he wants. And the things that he wants too, it's like, hey, you got to show me something if you want this.
Yeah.
So trying to balance that a little bit. But yeah, I take the way I approach a lot of stuff is how did my dad approach that when I was younger.
That's
And
cool.
so the content that we would consume, it's already there because it happened in my childhood. So I'll my entire timeline is filled with parenting stuff, and I do take some good things from that. But the best path and the best advice that you're gonna get is either replicating what your parents did for you or trying to flip that narrative.
Love that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's cool. And having a balanced childhood and having a balanced support system. But also, I love what you said too. Challenge them. Don't give them everything. I think there's certain people, parents that can spoil kids, and that can definitely affect the long-term
Absolutely.
path in terms of mental load, in terms of ambition.
Yeah, self-esteem, everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I know we've seen that through all of us, which is fortunate for us, of course. But I think lessons that others can learn from, and it's the everyday grind.
Absolutely,
for the
man.
most part. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important too to, again, if you want your kid I'm not a professional. I've been a dad for 2 years. So take it for what you
You're more
want.
pro than we are, man.
You're hurting their self-esteem by doing everything for them. And that's been a huge challenge for me because I'm my personality is a people pleaser at work. miles. You need me to go blow your driveway in the middle of winter, or you need me to be like, I like to please people, and I want to like, naturally, I just want to make my kid life as easy as possible for him. But that's just not the right answer. In order for him to grow up with like high self-esteem and being a problem solver, like it's been a challenge to just hold back and be like, all right, I'm going to let you figure out how to put this block into this container instead of me just like grabbing it and put it in there for you. It's a super simple concept, but it definitely affects their development as they get older.
And it sounds like you're a grinder too. So I can almost imagine it got the doer mentality, right? You'll just do everything. And that's just, it's easier sometimes. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I've become less of that, like less of just like the grind and the being the hustler that I used to be in my 20s or that I tried to be. Cause at the end of the day, I'm just tired. To be completely honest, I haven't read a book in probably 3 or 4 years. I read one book last year. It was a golf book though. It's like interesting to me. Like the self-development thing, I like got burnt out on it. I wanted to like self-develop in my own way instead of listening to someone else and how they did it.
Exactly.
But I got the tools from that whole phase on how to do it myself, really. Yeah, man, I come home at the end of the day and I'll be honest, I don't do any like house projects during the week. I always save them for the weekend because I have to batch them up and I have a big day coming up and just fucking get after it. So yeah, I'll come home, I'll play with my kid, eat supper, talk to my wife for a little bit, and then we'll just go lay in bed and watch TV. It's like, it's not all go like it used to be, but I'm okay with that because this is like the phase of life I'm in now. I also love to just sit around and do nothing myself. I'm not gonna lie to people and be like, dude, I'm freaking working 18-hour days. No, I'm working like 9 solid hours a day, and then I'm really not doing shit after that.
That's still a beautiful thing though, man. That's still a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's good. It's good balance for me, and as long as I'm still working out's been a tough thing for me lately. I went from working for a fitness company. I can't be online posting videos about getting fit in your home if I'm not working out myself.
Yeah.
So after a huge phase of I was in the gym 6 days a week, and then I started my own home gym. I had everything I need at home. I did that for 2 years. I was up at 4:45, 5 a.m. And I just got burnt out with that. I'm like, I love sleeping. Started sleeping in a little bit more, and then I started working out less. And then it would be 1 day a week, and then it would be like you'd have something going on this week, and then you'd have something going on the next week. Wow, I'll start in 3 weeks again. So it's been like a very big up and down. I'm telling myself like, hey, if I can get in the gym before work, because if I wait till the evenings, I just say I ain't gonna do it. Because again, I like to come over and do nothing. So if I can get in the gym 4 days a week for 30 to 40 minutes, then that's a success for me. Because now things have changed. I'm not trying to lift as much as possible. I'm not like, my body was just hurting at that time, and I wasn't like doing preventative care of stretching. I was just like going in there and just like lifting as much as I could. But things have really changed now. If I can get in there 4 days a week, I'm happy. A lot of the times it's three days a week. So yeah, things they change a lot, but you just have to roll with the punches. And as long as you're doing what you think you need to be doing, then I think everything else it's gravy after that.
Yeah, we talk about managing your time a lot on this podcast, and I'm sure over the years it's changed a lot. Obviously, going from college life of time management, which is you can do whatever you want as long as you get your crap done, to obviously having your first job. Things change a little bit. Like you got to wake up a little more, maybe earlier than you're used to, and then you get into the big boy job, and then you have kids. That's like a whole different scheduled time change. That's
For
where
sure.
another person's dependent on you now, and now you really got to get your ducks in a row. But
Yeah.
has there been ways that you've either had to learn new habits or even adapt your schedules as you've obviously gotten older now that you are a dad? Has that changed a lot over the years, or have you always been able to manage your time effectively?
Yeah, it goes back to like my gym schedule, right? Like going from 6 days a week down to some days or some weeks 1 time a week or 2 times a week. That was like because I was all in on lifting weights at the time. And again, when I am going to do something, my personality have to do it 100%. I wasn't signing up for competitions like powerlifting competitions or 5Ks, 10Ks, whatever it was. So because I didn't have anything to work towards, with my fitness. I just wasn't doing it because to me there was no like finish line really. But now thinking about, I'm not running from start to finish. I'm not like lifting from the ground up. I am like preparing myself to be able to chase my kid down when he's 8 years old and tackle him in the grass. I'm like in it to be able to jump onto the trampoline for more than 10 minutes and not like my legs didn't get sore. So that's been hard to adapt to because again, I can't see an end, like there's no goal at the end of it.
Sure.
The goal is just it's just the overarching vision of I want to be able to do all this stuff with my kid until I'm 60 years old. And like my dad is that way. My dad's 55 and he's still running 50K races. He's doing crazy things with his fitness goals. But looking at that, he has an end in sight. I don't have the end in sight. So it's been a tough transition for me, just knowing I'm doing it for my kid and my future kids. It's been hard to balance, but I'm getting there. If I don't get in the gym, it's fine. And you can try again tomorrow. And I'm not really about trying, but when it comes to that stuff outside of being a dad, like I'm just okay with maybe trying again the next day, because when it comes to being a dad, there's no trying. You just like you're doing. So personally, I think I'm winning at that. I feel like in 2 years, I'm doing a pretty, like I asked my wife the other day, have we been doing an okay job at parenting? And she's thinks so. I'm like, well, he was like hitting his friends at daycare the other day. And is that because of what we're doing? Now he's 2. He doesn't know any better. So being dad comes number one. And for me, there's no trying with that. It's just doing and everything kind of outside. Like same with work. Like there's just no trying at work and you have to go do. But when it comes to the extracurriculars for myself, it's like the trying phase, which I also don't really enjoy because my personality doesn't line up with that. But that's just reality and where I'm at today.
Of course.
It's fascinating enough. I don't know if you remember this, but I went to chiropractic school for the ambition and thought, okay, obviously I want to challenge myself. But dude, your knee, it drove me mentally crazy to where I had to try to find answers. And I think, so a little context for some of the audience. We were roommates at that time. Ryan was having some knee stuff going on.
E-band, yeah.
Dude, and
you played which sport? And
I played baseball.
You played baseball, okay.
But I was running like obstacle course races and stuff like that outside of it, and I developed IT band syndrome, and so I haven't ran like a quarter mile in probably 6 years.
Sure.
Oh wow.
Like I probably haven't even ran farther than like the length of my yard. But like that was tough to just go from 20 miles a week to 0. But then I started lifting weights. I got into powerlifting and like found that new goal to work toward.
Yeah.
So that was a positive. But yeah, I haven't been able to run in a long time. And I tried every option: cortisone shot, PT, almost everything that I was told you could try. Couldn't find anything that worked. So I gave up. I'm like, all right, I'm going to move on to something else. And I did. And I'm like satisfied with that. However, it would be nice to maybe go out for a mile run without my knee hurting nowadays if I only have 15 minutes to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So true, man. And yeah, on that standpoint, I think, because we see this often too, especially with certain physical therapists, certain practitioners, like they need definitely more tools if they're not getting the job done, more or less. So that's something that we can definitely talk on a later day. But no,
you just lie down here for a few days. We'll take care of
again, February or March.
February
or March, way more apt to come down instead of June
go.
or July down to Arizona.
We'll fit it all in. We'll fit it all
sure.
in.
Yeah.
Dude. And you have no idea, like now Dr. Addy's into some peptides. He has resources.
Yeah, we'll throw some stem cells in you, man. No worries at all. We'll get
nice. I'm actually I'm very intrigued. I'm like having a tough time like talking my wife into doing something like that, but it is very intriguing, that whole side of rehab and just getting something fixed.
Yeah, I still have my license in Minnesota. So I just said I was at a bachelor party in northern Arizona the last weekend, and one of my buddies, he's got his own business in Grand Forks, and he's, dude, can you like do the stuff from here? Could you figure something out? I need to do all this stuff. I got to do all this. I'm like, yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out a way where I could actually treat patients from afar while I can still treat Minnesota, maybe even North Dakota. Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll
I'm
talk
down,
about it.
dude. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
go.
for sure.
I love trying new shit. I also have a addictive personality too. Yeah, you give me feeling good with some power.
Oh, yeah.
I'm slow.
We're gonna be good there. So I
Yeah.
want to circle back to what you're currently doing right now. So you have breakfast ball and the double bogey. Both of those are currently going on, right?
Yeah, Breakfast Ball is the social media golf page that we run, and then the Double Bogey Show is the podcast.
Got
under
it.
The Breakfast Ball.
Got it.
There was already a
Gotcha.
Breakfast Ball podcast, so we just rebranded it into the
Sure.
Breakfast Bogey Show. It's all one entity underneath the YouBetcha umbrella. So yeah, yep, that's what we got.
And
That's like
so when was that creation, and how did that kind of look?
Especially under YouBetcha too. Like
Yeah.
yeah. To begin, I was like running all the merchandise within YouBetcha, and golf like took off in 2020 during COVID. Golfed a little bit. I think I golfed a little bit in like high school, college. Not much. I was playing baseball most of the time. But like with being the competitive person that I am, I'm like, oh, I need something to be competitive at now. So then I got into powerlifting, and then I like really started getting into golf, and my coworkers were getting into golf, and we have all the camera equipment. Let's just go out and start filming like our golf rounds. So the original crew was me, my still current co-host Tyler, Jade, my old college roommate, and then Miles. We filmed 18-hole round, and we didn't even post it. We're like, it's kind of dog shit. We'll just try again another time. And Miles obviously got really busy with doing the betcha, and he didn't want to like put his eggs in 2 different baskets. So he dropped his, hey, you guys just keep running the golf page. And we did since 2020, probably 2021 is when we like officially developed the page and started posting like strict golf content for what we wanted the brand to look like. And the reason it's under YouBetcha is, number one, like this was like Miles was letting us use all of our resources, the cameras, our editing software, computer, whatever, to do this. And he had already figured out the formula on how to structure viral videos. So we're like, okay, there was never a thought of like us going off on our own to do this, because he's the pro. It's like, why not have him guide us through it?
For sure.
And so it became a sub brand of YouBetcha, and it makes money for the YouBetcha company. And it's like just like it's like a side project that we have the company. So
That's so cool, dude.
it's awesome.
I was always fascinated about that. Like just how it started, just some random game of golf that you guys decided to film.
What course did you guys hit?
The very first video was at Village Green in Moorhead.
Village Green, baby.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And then, just again, it was like something for us, because Miles was a college athlete, Tyler was a college athlete, Jade was a college athlete, I was a college. We like to hire college athletes because we know the type of employees that they're going to be. They're going to be competitive. They're going to learn competitive, like against, let's say, other pages, or competitive even at work here. It's a good atmosphere to be in. So we needed a sport to be competitive at once our college careers were over. With golf being one of them, the worst sport on planet Earth, like the most frustrating sport on planet Earth, but it just keeps you wanting to come back for more.
There's been a lot of uptick in golf content, I feel like, in the last few years, especially even in the people who they're not even good at golf, but they would post anyway. And it's crazy just at how much content is now being formed around that sport. It's nuts. And I'm sure you've seen that too.
Yeah. We hit Facebook monetization. We hit that at a very good time. They started monetizing 3-minute plus videos back in 2019, where they would just throw ads in the middle of it, or at the beginning or at the end, and they pay you for that. So we figured that out right away. And then TikTok was huge for us, because TikTok, it was like right away, it was easy to go viral on there. And if you develop a formula, you still can go viral on there. And then we started a podcast. We started cutting up clips from that, posting it on TikTok. And TikTok, like you get 1 million views on a podcast clip, and it could increase your downloads by 1,000 that month, which for us at that time was huge. TikTok really moved the needle for us in terms of podcasts. And then we get a PXG club sponsorship, and we get a couple other brand deals. And I'm glad we started when we did, because had we started now, the space is just very diluted. If someone pops into the Double Bogey Show, they know they can see 180 plus episodes that we've been doing for the last 2.5 years.
The foundation's already there, obviously.
For sure. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you learn like different ways on how to structure videos? Because like we're going through this phase now too, as we're trying to build the functional code. And Doc
Yep.
does a lot of the short form. I do more of the long form, and we go back and forth. And there's, in fact, I don't know if you saw Gary Vee just, of course, Gary Vee came
Yeah,
out
yeah.
with a new book. Have you guys dove into that? And are you implementing any newer marketing strategies, especially for like video content?
Everything is it's so fast paced and changing all the time. Like Facebook doesn't push the 3 minute plus videos as much as they used to because the space gets diluted. And then now TikTok, like they have a hold on everybody's like short term attention, right? So Facebook is like, all right, we have to introduce reels, and then Instagram gets reels. And it's tough for people to watch a 3 minute video when the other half of the time they're on TikTok watching stuff really
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
So the long form dies and the short form comes to life. And then now things will start to gravitate back to long form like they have been on YouTube. The biggest thing for us is talking about like posting clips and talking about stuff that will get other people like fired up is what's been the best for us. The golf world is easy because there are some hardos in the golfing. So if you say something that they don't agree with, they're going to tell you in the comment, which is exactly why we're doing it. So like you can get pissed off at the clip that we just posted, but what you don't know is that we're doing it so we can get more views and grow our page. The amount of times I've been blamed on the internet for a certain golf take or whatever, I don't have enough fingers and toes to count, but it doesn't like that stuff doesn't bother me anymore because number one, you're commenting on the video. We're going to get more views, going to get pushed to more people. And that's like the whole goal. So like starting out a short form clip with posing a question that people think they know the answer to or do know the answer to, it's gonna drive comments, like clicks, all that kind of stuff.
So smart. Is it? Because I watched a lot of your content, and I like how do you guys like plan stuff out in the seasons? Because I know sometimes when you post, you do golf either at Top Golf or you've done different games, you've created different games on the course. Those are I think the ones that hit quite a bit more people's attention. How did some of those games come up?
Yeah. So obviously when you see a golf page in the Midwest, if you're lucky, it's end of April until middle of September.
Yep.
So it's okay. We have to shoot as many videos outside as we can. And we have to bank up as many of those videos as possible. And then when we run out of that type of stuff, okay, luckily we have a Top Golf style golf entertainment facility called Sweet Shots here in Fargo. So it's like, all right, now what can we do inside? Playing at a facility like that and we're not outside. It does get tough because it's hard to relate to people when you're just hitting balls off a turf mat and coming up with new ideas. But we always come up with something. It's like, the thing with the podcast is we sit in our chairs on Tuesday mornings. Like, all right, what do you want to talk about today? And then we end up talking for an hour plus every single day. We're lucky because we just come up with stuff to talk about. You think back to your weekend round and you're like, okay, what was like interesting or what is like relatable or what did we see that could have been done differently or anything like that. And 180 plus episodes in, we've gotten good at just like expanding on the dumbest stuff, which like makes for good conversation. And then obviously being outside, there's not a lot of people that want to see us shoot 85 to 95 on video. A lot of the bigger golf social media pages, they'll film their entire 18-hole round because they're really good and people enjoy watching them play. People don't like watching us play, as far as we know. I'm sure there's some people like, hey, video, that takes a lot of work. And so it's like, all right, what the average golfer look like then? They're drinking beers at the bev carts and they're taking 2 shots off the tee and they're doing this and doing that. So that's the lane right there. So you just like, a lot of it comes from us just playing golf off camera on how we can like generate ideas to put on camera. So just doing a lot of thinking of the guy I was golfing with a couple weeks ago called me out for cheating because he thought he'd pull my ball back out of the water. There's a good short form video.
Perfect.
And then there's a good podcast like segment as well. So we get out of that one situation of him accusing me of cheating on the course, like it breeds multiple pieces of content and that's how we structure it. So
I love that. I actually thought about, so I prefaced this question because there is an idea that I don't know if you guys have done yet, or I don't know where I saw it, but I was like, okay, this is gold for you guys. Have you ever seen like put golf done in an office and you try to, I think we may have done this back in the college house. I can't remember, but maybe it was with the soccer ball. I don't know. And how you can go around different objects, or in order to get in the hole or get into a corner, you have to go around a bunch of different objects. So for your case, maybe at the YouBetcha site and go in maybe multiple levels, and then break that up into series.
Like a mini course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't even remember if we posted the video or not. So we made our own mini putt course at like our old, like 2 shops ago.
Okay.
And I can't even remember if we posted that or not. But yeah, getting creative in that sense, that like that's a great idea, because we could do with the facility we have now, the possibilities are endless for a mini putt course. Now, like in today, like in our schedules today for Tyler and I, it seems like a lot of work.
Yeah.
And we're like, maybe we could do this idea that's easier, but we have to like start to get out of that mindset and start doing more stuff like that. Cause hey, you've seen people at a basketball game putt from one end line to the other to try and win a new car in like this little tiny hole. It's do something like that. So yes, I love the idea. It's just like getting us motivated to go out and build something like that.
Oh man.
You could do like a tournament in town, and the winner gets a pallet of Coors Light or something, just like a straight pallet.
Bush
full.
Light. Yeah, it has to be Bush Light.
Bush,
though.
excuse me. Sorry, Bush.
Yeah.
Straight pallet, just of 96 cases, man, right on the pallet.
That'd be great. Yeah.
It's just standing right here if you win, man.
Yeah, we'd have to rig it so that Tyler and I could win. And then we just keep it ourselves.
I love it. Oh yeah. So the other question, like when you're off camera, that we were talking about, because I said from, I don't know if it's the location you're at right now or previous, there is a whole bar stand at the YouBetcha site. Is that the current one? And how was the transition also from different sites? And did you have to change up how your systems are? How was that process?
Yeah, so we have like an entertainment corner here at like our meat facility. We had pretty much the same setup as our last one, but we were still strapped on space for our last one. So yeah, it's cool. We have 2 like 20-foot shipping containers like next to each other, and they blew out like 2 of the walls. So you have a side entrance, you have a front entrance, built into a bar. It's like Miles can use that for content. If he needs to shoot in a bar scene, he can just like walk downstairs. And then it's just good for like company gatherings and whatever else. We don't use it a ton. We have a golf simulator too, so we use that all the time in the winter. But we've been lucky to have that in our last 2 buildings. Now, like I said, the last building, we were very strapped on space. So transitioning to the new building, having all this extra space, yes, we essentially had to like, okay, what's the most efficient layout for our screen printers and the dryer and the packing tables and our inventory, blank and printed. So that was actually, I enjoy that type of stuff. So it was fun to put the puzzle pieces together on how this is going to work. But yeah, our processes now compared to our old spot, now that we just have more space, are light years different. And that's why the processes that we've developed is why our warehouse crew can leave at noon on Friday instead of maybe in our last facility with little space and not as good a processes. They would have stayed until 6 on a Friday. So we've had to improve a lot of that stuff. And that's the type of stuff that people, they see all the stuff on the internet, but they don't see all the decisions going
Back end.
Correct. Yep. And we're not drinking beer all the time and smoking and joking and doing all that like people see online. We have 15 full-time employees here at YouBetcha, and we just ran like a legitimate business. It has been for years now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that stuff behind the scenes that people don't see.
For sure. Beautiful. And I don't think people understand how hard it is to turn that concept into a business and to keep it
For sure.
going and going and sustaining. Like people, it's like, oh, just more content. It's how hard it is to think of that content and to truly make it engaging and actually profitable. Like people just don't understand that.
Yeah, no, goes back to the trust factor of Miles. He's the type of guy, he ain't going to work for anybody else except for himself. And I was drawn to that right away. And that's why I knew that he was in it for 20 to 30 years instead of a couple to see if he could make a bunch of money and then do something else. Like the do something else type of thing, we're just doing that underneath YouBetcha now.
Yeah.
Whether that be different, trying to come up with different pages, the golf page or different brand deals or whatever. yeah, it's brought us all the way here to where we are today.
So with that, is there any other projects that you guys are working on, or I know Breakfast Ball Double Bogey, is that something that you guys are primarily tailored into right now?
Yeah, that's there's a couple things more so like internally that we're doing, nothing like out for the public. And when I say that's processes and things to make the business run way more efficiently, you can operate at what some companies would need 20 employees to do. We can do it with 10.
Yeah.
So things like that, or yeah, Breakfast Ball, we're always trying to grow that. It's just tougher when Tyler just had his third kid. I have a child. It's tough to get out and shoot videos when like, I manage the merchandise and Tyler manages all the content, Breakfast Ball, YouBetcha, all of that. We're trying to really hone in on what we're currently doing, making it the best we can until we dive out into doing other things.
Sure.
Couple thoughts, because I'm always trying to give ideas for people, especially for like how creative you guys are. But have you guys heard of, like, in Arizona, there's a nighttime golf to where, and I don't know if you've seen this, but there's like big lights over whole golf course.
Tempe.
Yeah, did you guys go to that one?
No, because I think they just opened it not too long ago.
Yeah.
It was within the last year, I think.
Yep. And we haven't been back for 2 years.
Yep.
So no, I haven't been there. Would love to get there. Would love to see courses around here do night golf, because it's hard enough to get a tee time, and it's not cheap by any means. So it's easy for me to say, yeah, let's get night golf at these courses, and it's $2 million to install the lights and do all that type of stuff, and to like staff overnight, whatever. Night golf it's on another level, because it's who doesn't want to hit a ball when it's dark out underneath lights? It's so true. When you break it down into like simple terms, like it's awesome.
That's all I did when I moved down here. I just golfed at night. I went to places that were still open at 10 and I was practicing. It was like a whole, it was just, I felt like Tiger Woods practicing at night. I'm like, all right, here we go, boys. I'm going to really bring it in this time.
And
yeah, dude, I love night golf. I've never played it, but I love it. It's just the concept of it.
have you guys seen the global golf, to where it's nighttime golf, but the ball is glow in the dark, the tee is glow in the dark, and you play at night? Do they have that there? Have you?
Yeah.
I don't know if there are some courses that will do like a night scramble for fun, and you have to do your little glow ball, and it just depends on, because it's those courses in the Midwest, you don't have any of those fancy lights on the course, so you're literally in the pitch dark playing with that ball. And everyone's got their golf carts that have lights on them. At least you're lucky to have one or two guys with the fancy carts that have the lights on them. And that kind of gives you enough to see the lane. I remember one of our league playoff games when I was golfing up in Warren. We had a playoff hole that had to happen again, and we were scrambling it. And we had to use regular balls, but some guys were lucky enough to have a couple glow balls, so we would use those. Next thing you know, we're on the last hole 9, and we're just sitting and doing long putts to end the game. And we got 16 carts surrounding the green and all have their lights on.
Yeah, that's
trying
awesome,
to figure out the last putt to win the game. That's about what you get in the Midwest. You don't get any lights other than that down here.
No, yeah, it's I know of one course for sure that does just a night of glow ball. But yeah, I have 3 glow balls in my bag, just in case. I don't know what situation I'd be in to be able to play glow ball if I'm like golfing at 8 a.m. But they're in my bag. If I come down to Arizona, or if like they do a glow ball night or something, I've always wanted to get in on one of those, because again, people are just like attracted to shit that glows in the dark. I don't know why. And for it to be a golf ball is even better. So I've been striving for some night golf or some glow ball. It would be awesome.
Have you guys collabed with Sweet Shots at all, or any of those companies?
We have, yeah.
Nice.
That's like our primary spot in the wintertime. If we're looking, like, we need a video for any given week. Yeah, we have a good relationship with them. And we've done a handful of videos for them, whether it's like playing Pebble Beach on like their, I can't, like their virtual golf. So like you can play at a bay, and the cameras will read your shot going out into the field in accordance to like how the course on your screen plays. So Topgolf does something similar too. But yeah, no, we have a good relationship with Sweet Shots. We do quite a bit of stuff there.
Yeah, dude, I love them. I remember when they first started, and I was one of the first people that went in there, and I remember the guy just talking about how it's going to be so much different than Topgolf. And he really wanted to make it tailored differently, a different vibe. And I think it is similar to like the small business, right? Like it's a smaller field, but still has this big corporate, obviously, like Topgolf. And I think they're putting some sweet shots in different areas now too, aren't they?
Yeah, they had talked about doing one in Iowa. So yeah, it's pretty much, there's a couple different investment groups, but like the primary investor is like, yeah, you can almost call it family owned.
Yeah.
Because it's like the Johnsons, so Mark Johnson, Chuck Johnson, Lucas Johnson, they're like the main people at Sweet Shop. They have other fish too, but it's a big facility and it's a big company, but they run it like it's family owned, which I think people are very drawn to.
Nice. Yeah, man.
And that'd be so cool to have a scene with one of those drones you hitting in the golf course at the same time as doing the pod or any type of short form content and going back and forth collab. Maybe do an ad, but at the same time put a logo in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are they up to that?
So we had an official brand deal with them.
Okay.
This would have been like 2 winters in a row, and we didn't end up resigning. It was good while we had it. We still have a really good relationship with them, so we more so promote them like off contract.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, we don't want to do that, so we don't work with them anymore. Okay, this helped us like get the door with them and help them get some publicity from us, and yeah, so no, we still have a really good relationship with them. It's where I like get all my lessons from and whatnot. So yeah, it's good.
Other than internal goals, projects, are you gonna do some content with your son Cal and start the kids bogey golf?
Yeah, all of us would always say, what are we going to do when our kids understand what we're doing with all of this someday? And they're going to listen to these podcasts and be like, what did my dad just say? So I am going to if he wants to, be a content creator, I will support him in that. I'll help him out as much as possible. For now, we're going to focus on the dad side of golf. And maybe one day if he ever hits a hole in one, I hope I can get on video because
oh my gosh.
Start a page. Hole in one videos they go crazy every time.
Oh,
because you don't see them often. So people want to see, or if you want to see hole in ones on video. But yeah, no, having kids it's actually a great lane in the golf world because there's so many dads out there that can relate to being a golfer while being a dad, while being a husband. And there's so much comedic content that can come from beyond that.
Yeah.
God, that's
absolutely
awesome. Yeah, I can just see it now. Oh man, that's cool.
Yeah, one day he'll get on the course one day. Yeah, we'll get him out there. He's been swinging his little practice clubs and he still doesn't use 2 hands. He just but that's fun for me too. So kids are like a monkey see, monkey do type of situation. If I'm like in balls in the backyard, he don't want to pick up his golf clubs. Or if
he wants to swing it twice and then go eat the sand or do whatever they want.
Yeah. Yep.
Man, that's awesome. And I like this too because I'm almost going to take a page of the book from Gary Vee again. But looking back and making this video content, I was talking to Dr. Addy on a pod, got a few episodes ago too, to have our families look back on the process and what we built and grown and look at that transformation, but also look back not only for our kids, but also for grandkids and generations prior to to see where some of the foundation came from and how some of the steps got laid. And there's going to definitely be archaic, definitely mindsets looking back at us now. But man, that's going to be fun to see how things coalesce and move forward.
Yeah. No, if you listen to episode 1 of YouBetcha Radio and then you listen to our most current episode, it's night and day. Yeah. And that's a good lesson in itself too. It's like, seeing the progression in that is like, all right, well, if you want to do something, you have to be consistent with it. You have to go all in on it. You have to try and get better at it because we were bad right away. We're pretty bad. And if we would have stopped, we would have still been bad at podcasting. But now on YouBetcha Radio, we're I don't know, close to 300 episodes in. And then our Patreon has another 180 episodes. So we probably between that and Double Bogey Show, and then some of these that I do off on the side, probably 600 podcasts that I've been a part of. And you just with consistency, you get good at it over time. So
you can't read a book to learn what you learned in actually doing 600 podcasts, man. You're not going to find any piece of content out there to teach you that.
For sure. I didn't go to school to learn how to print t-shirts. That's I don't really know what I went to school for. I went to I got a degree and it helped me a little bit, But at the same time, like you just have to, you learn by just going and doing stuff and trying stuff. And that's the biggest thing about college is good just because it teaches you independence. Now, like the school part of things was like, whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, getting out and doing stuff is like the best way to learn how to do something, obviously, versus reading a book, like you said, or like sitting in a classroom for 5, 6, 7 hours a day and trying to learn it that way.
God,
No, I'm done with that. I'm not doing that again.
agreed.
No, yeah, and you guys went to school longer than I did. I was on the 5-year plan, and after that, I was like, my brother's 32. He just graduated with his doctorate, and he's been in school. There's a couple years he was off between like master's, doctorate, undergrad, and master's.
What's he doing again? I can't remember.
He just got a job at University of Pittsburgh. He'll be a professor there. So,
Dude, they have an awesome chiro program.
I think just
Yeah.
two.
he's in county. So
They'll have the first public doctorate degree of chiropractic, Pittsburgh. They're the
Cool.
first. Yeah, they're the first public university to bring on the chiropractic profession. So
yeah,
cool. That's awesome, man.
What practitioner is he?
he's a doctor of financial accounting.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay,
PhD.
sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. Yeah, doctor, PhD in financial accounting. He is a doctor, but he's not. Yeah, I don't know how that whole thing with these called dentists, doctors. I don't know how I don't know how to appropriate, like you guys are doctors, right?
Yeah. To some people, right? It's the he say, she say kind of thing. But
Yeah, well, when people like me think of a doctor, they think of someone who's going to prescribe you a Z-Pack for when you have a cold. So yeah, okay, PhD in financial accounting, and like he's been in school since forever, minus a couple of years in between. And I couldn't. No, not part of it.
Numbers, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, but hey, you want people like that being professors because they're really good at school and they know how to like. He's worked in the real world and he's also worked in the classroom, and so he can apply both together and hopefully teach some practical skills that aren't just open up to page 550 and do this worksheet.
Yeah, that's what I love about professors. The ones that have actually done the job or done what they're talking about are if you're just learning from the textbook or
Yeah,
just
you have a sales teacher in college who's never done sales.
dude, yeah.
that's
What am I supposed
that's
to take
more
from
often
this?
than not. There are a
Yeah.
lot of non-applicable, even in our setting, a lot of non-clinical teachers there who've never actually done clinic, and they're trying to teach you things about clinic, and you're like, this just doesn't compute.
Yeah, and as long as you can think for yourself in that situation, that's what the best you can do.
Awesome. Well, hey, dude. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, dude,
for
thank you so much for hopping on with us.
Absolutely, boys.
Yeah, no, this has been good. Is there anything else that you want to chat about or promote as far as your projects coming up? Anything coming down the pipe?
Yeah, we're at breakfast.balls on Instagram, at breakfastball on TikTok, Double Bogey Show, All Podcast can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Yeah, we're just like trying to have fun in the golf space and keep moving along.
They're going to be in Phoenix soon. They're going to get we're going to have a lot of new content coming when they fly.
Yeah, February or March.
Yeah.
I'll
So
finish it down.
We got the night golf coming. It's going to be good.
Let's go. Hell yeah.
Alrighty. We
It's our
appreciate you,
feedback,
Ryan. Thank
figured
you so
out.
much for jumping on. Guys, it's been a good podcast. We'll see you
Awesome.
guys soon. Until next
Yes,
time.
sir.
All right, boys.
Man.
Disclaimer, the content provided in this health podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or 911 immediately. Reliance on any information provided in this podcast is solely at your own risk. The creators and hosts of this podcast are not responsible for any actions or decisions you may take based on the information presented.
Thanks for joining us on The Functional Code. For more evidence-based health insights, subscribe, rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, your journey to a healthier you begins with understanding the functional code. Until next time, stay well, stay informed, and embrace the science of living well.